their records have been
the southern sounds of like the Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. And there was no exciting music anymore, you know? And more or less, when we started, and you know, we started playing around New York, it was word of mouth, and we found CBGB's was a slum bar, and but it would be the perfect place for a scene because of its atmosphere and acoustics, you know. And we went to England, and what was big in England was pub rock. Dr. Feelgood was the big thing, and Brimsley Schwartz. We did 3 nights at the Roundhouse for 12,000 people, was sold out, and then Dingwall's club. And all these kids came to our sound check that told us we were directly responsible for them starting their bands, and those, you know, the kids, Sex Pistols and people like that, you know, Clash, and so when we left, that's when the first generation of the English movement kicked off, and you know, and really the world changed, you know, for the better, and things are better today. Everything's more rock and roll orientated again. You know, when for years it was very techno orientated. It was bullshit, you know.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the 80s. What do you think music's been like generally in the 80s?
Pretty pathetic. But I think in the last few years it's been great, you know. Especially now, I guess music's is sort of a second generation with the speed metal, thrash bands, and bands like Metallica and Anthrax and Guns N' Roses, people like that. I mean, countless other bands, you know, younger bands, new bands.
There's a lot of bands that don't know when to give up. I mean, we hear the Who and the Rolling Stones reform every couple of years. When will the Ramones know when it's time to give in?
Well, there's no reason to give in, because we're the best.
Do you think
But we'll know when it's time to give in if we feel, you know, it's time, that things, you know, that we could be better, or this or that. Because we feel right now we're the best we've ever been. And, you know, when the time would come, we would know it. Because we have the same feelings about other people, too. A lot of people don't know when it's time to give up. And, you know, I mean, probably a lot of people, I hate to say it, but it's probably good that they died to keep their dying at the height of their career.
A few lineup changes there have been. The most major one surely must have been Dee Dee leaving the band.
Yeah, well, Dee Dee left the band without notice to pursue a rap career, and it was, yeah, initially it was sort of, you know, a shock and a bit upsetting and all, because it really came out of the blue, and things were really at their ultimate with the band. I mean, things were going great, and the tours were like real successful. I mean, the band, I mean, being together for over 15 years, I mean, it's not always easy being in such close quarters, you know, because it's like being married to 4 people at once, you know. It's hard enough being married to one person, or just going out with one person, or whatever, you know. And but like, we managed to kind of work everything out, like the most difficult situations, most, I guess, innermost turmoil kind of situations, you know what I mean? And you know.
Well, looking back, what
I mean, well, actually with Dee Dee's gone, but he blew it for himself, and we have a new bass player, CJ, his name's Chris, and we call him CJ. And he's great. He's like better than Dee Dee could ever have been. And but he has that sensibility that's the Ramones, and he's good and aggressive. You know what I mean? And things are great. Things couldn't be better. The band sounds better now than it sounded with Dee Dee.
So what do you think of Dee Dee's solo work?
I don't think too much of it. You know, I think Dee Dee he's a talented guy. And I think I really helped encourage him a lot, and I feel like kind of like disappointed. I feel like he let me down a bit. But on the other hand, you know, wish him the best, and but I think he realizes that he made a mistake, but it's too late because we'd never take him back anyway. You know, I mean, there are a lot of people that are fans of ours that are pretty unique. You know, I mean, like Roger Corman and Alan Arkish and Stephen King and, you know, Bill Laswell and countless of other people too.
But are you really into those sorts of films?
Yeah, yeah. No, we love films like that, you know.
What appeals to you about them?
We like the culty kind of films, you know. I mean, we like a lot of different kinds of films. I mean, like John's a real film fanatic, and but we all like films, you know, like John and Mark and me collect film posters and stuff. And
how much are you involved in the concept for the Ramones videos?
we're involved. I mean, you know, lately we've been working with this guy named Bill Fishman, who's really great, who's really shit. You know, he sees, we sort of share a dark side, you know. I mean, I guess like the Ramones are very dark in their maybe senses or sense of humor or whatever, you know what I mean? And sort of sets us apart from most other people, you know. I mean, a lot of people don't know how to take us. Some people take it too literal, maybe. But there was a company, Preacher and Fishman. They had done Something to Believe In. They did, and Preacher did I Want to Live. And with the last one, we did it with Bill Fishman at this very famous cemetery on the first night of the full moon in Tarrytown, New York, called Sleepy Hollow, which Ichabod Crane had written all those books, Headless Horseman and Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So we had like that was like pretty wild when we brought all our friends down. We had a graveyard party, you know, and more or less we were buried alive in the video, you know, and that was weird, you know.
The Ramones on stage was certainly something. They were fast, furious, and, to my mind, very funny. Speaking of which, the irrepressible campervan Beethoven have a new album out called Key Lime Pie.